name is Irene Chauncey, and today my classmates Shoshana Pizer, Ayesha Al-Amin, and I are going to teach you how the cultural context we're in influences our language choice. I'm going to start by talking a little about what we call cultural bias. The definition of it, coming from our textbook, is known as a skewed way of viewing or talking about a group. Cultural bias can creep its way into our academic, professional, personal, and civic interests. Within all of our cultural identities, including race, religion, gender, age, sexual orientation, and ability. Becoming aware of and addressing cultural bias isn't the same as watching out for political correctness, which is taking the aforementioned to an extreme, and which inscribing it can be like making people walk on eggshells. We must be entirely careful what comes out of our mouths, because remember, meaning is interpreted by each individual, it doesn't exist inside the sender's message. An example of cultural bias is the phenomenon of stereotyping people based only on how they look. What I'm talking about is, if someone has a particular accent, skin color, or hairstyle, and someone else judges him/her, so to speak, based solely on that, into a whole group of people who all share that one quality.
Irene. So, like Irene highlighted, it can be really difficult talking across different cultures and communities. And so one of the ways that we do this as human beings to make it easier for us is through a theory called communication accommodation theory. And so this is the concept that we change the way we speak and the patterns that we're using depending on the situation that we're in. And so people do this through a couple of different ways. One of them is through something called convergence, in which we try to mirror or make our speech patterns more like the person we're communicating with, or through something called divergence, in which we emphasize our own way of speaking to highlight differences between us and the people we're communicating with. And so this is a concept about accommodating the way that we're speaking with each other to make it easier for us to communicate when we come in contact with people who are different from us, basically. And so that's something that we're doing intentionally when we're in conversation with people we might not be as close with, but there are things that are more natural to the way that we're speaking and are just a part of our culture that my classmate Shoshana will be introducing.
Okay, so accents are distinct styles of pronunciation, while dialects are versions of language that have distinct words, grammar, and pronunciation. So there can be multiple accents within one dialect. There are also cultural norms because all our social norms are all culturally relative. For example, one thing in one culture could mean something completely different in another culture. So in some parts of the Middle East, Latin America, Western Africa, Russia, and Greece, a thumbs up has the same meaning as holding up a middle finger for most Americans. Then there are cultural customs. For example, in Western culture, it is considered rude to eat your food noisily at the table, while in Japan, making slurping noises while eating is a way to indicate you are actually really enjoying your meal.
So in conclusion, there are many different ways that we can adjust our communication style and many ways that we should be aware of how different people communicate that are coming from different backgrounds than us. Initially, these differences can make us seem like we have a lot of differences and very few similarities. But through some of the things we've highlighted today, it's really just about being able to understand different people's perspectives and backgrounds and respecting that and trying to find a way to communicate effectively with one another. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation today.